Welcome back. This is the start of our Email for Beginners series. We are talking about Google Calendar. I am Brittany Saxton. I'm one of the consumer tech specialists. That is the assistant. Let's get to it. So you can either open Google Calendar from your Gmail or the app switcher. If you choose to do it from your email, the calendar app icon looks exactly as it does here. You'll click on it on the far right hand side of the page and it'll switch you over to your calendar. So we're going to take a look at this in sections. So the first section we will look at is on the far left hand side. This will be kind of your main menu and calendar preview. So in the upper left hand corner you'll have a main menu button. This will be 3 horizontal lines. All it does is open and close the calendar panel, just like that. Below that you will have the create button where you can create an event, a task, or a reminder. You'll get this pop-up window here. And then you'll fill in any information you need from there. We will do that in just a moment. Then below that, you have your kind of mini calendar preview where you can jump back or forth, years, months, days, depending on what you need to change the calendar view in the center once you choose a day in the mini preview. And you will have your assortment of calendars. This section is broken up between My Calendars and Other Calendars. So in the My Calendar section, you'll have your default calendar. Any calendars you create will be here as well. And then your reminders and tasks will be in this section. So you can do some basic modifying of the calendars from this view, but you can also change the color that categorizes this particular calendar, and then whether or not you even want to see those events on your calendar view right now, you can uncheck and check to change which ones you do see and which other events you don't at the same time. In the other calendar section, this will be calendars that you subscribe to, so and other like government holidays, this will be located here too. And Google even gives you the option to subscribe to sports teams calendars. So you'll find those under the other calendars section. All right, so running across the top of your screen, you have a toolbar here that I have highlighted. There is a Today button. So depending on how far forward or backward you go in your calendar, it's a quick shortcut to take you back to whatever today's date is. And then you have another switcher to take you forward and backward. There's also a calendar search. This will only search for events underneath that, whatever keyword you type in here, or people's email addresses. You can't search for reminders or task events in the search. So if it has it in the title for that particular event, you can type it there in the search. So you'll see I have some past events. That's why they're grayed out when I searched for them. Then you have your help, which is the question mark with the circle, and then your settings. So here's your behind the scenes for anything and everything pertaining to your calendars. If you need to import a calendar or remove calendars, or you need to modify the preferences for your calendar. So you'll see here I'm renaming my main calendar to just be my calendar because I'm basic. That was the first thing I could think of. You can add a description for that calendar and then whether or not other people need access to that calendar. So for instance, if you need someone to be aware of what appointments you have because they schedule things on your behalf, you can add them and give them permissions to your calendar so they can add events or get alerts when you change things around. Then there's some further customization you can do where if you need to integrate your calendar into your website, so that's there. And then you can remove that calendar as well. So that's a lot of stuff in there that you want to check out to make it customizable. And then you have your calendar view that you can change. So you can change it by day, week, month, year. You can set a schedule, so it'll show you like working hours within that view, or you can change it to a 4-day week. It really depends on what you need to see at that particular point in time. When you put an event, task, or reminder on your calendar, it'll show up on whichever date you choose or click on. So if you need to schedule something for the month and you kind of need a better view, you can click on the date that you need and it'll pull up the event creator right there. So you can also create a task from here and then switch to create a reminder. You'll have different options depending on which one you choose. Of course, for the event, you'll have more information because there's more detail. So here I'm going to create an event so that way you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm calling it graduation practice. I'm going to leave it on the date I clicked on. I need to add a time because it is not an all-day event. So we're just going to pretend that it starts at 2 and goes on for however long I need it to. Now, if I needed something to be all day, I would check that all day box and it would make it for the entire day. So I don't need to add any video conferencing, but you can integrate Google Meet into your details here. So if you have a meeting set up, and I can change which calendar, it'll show your created calendars here. So my calendar and birthdays are calendars I created, so those will show up there. I can also change the color coordination, so if this needs to be in a certain color category, I can add that. And then I wanted to let me know an hour beforehand that this is coming up. Now, if you choose the more options before you choose to save the event, it will expand that event creation panel so that way you can have a better view of some of your options instead of having them in that smaller window. And then you get a little bit more customization when you're adding your guests. You can choose their permissions from here as well. And just add a little bit more detail. It just makes that panel window bigger. So you'll see that the event was saved and created. And when I hover my mouse over it, Google chooses the picture. I don't know how to change it because I didn't see where to do that in the event, but you can duplicate this event if it needs to occur again, and then publish the event if it needs to go to social media, for instance. So this is kind of like a little snapshot of the event if you put your mouse over it. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is actually look at changing the event details. So certain events, when you create them, you may need to modify them after you've put them on your calendar. So we're going to create an event and then let's play around with it a little bit. Where I'm going to call it, this is going to take all day. And it could be anything. I'm not going to change the date on there because I clicked on the date I wanted. But I do want to leave a time in there if I want to do that, even though I know it's going to take all day. Maybe it won't. This will just give you a better idea of how events look on your calendar when they take up a certain amount of time, and then if you need to modify that time after you've already saved it. So we're going to go to the event. I can change my view to day view if I want to do that, or I can click on the date again, and then you'll see this big block of time that was that 5-hour event takes up. You can delete the event from here or change the color if it needs to be categorized a certain way. But you'll notice there's a purple bar that runs across the left side of it. That just says it's on my calendar. So that's the color calendar it's on. And then if you hover your mouse over the event, you'll get a pop-up window with edit options where you can click on the pencil icon to edit the actual event. So here's where I can come in and change and say that I'm actually free during this time, but you'll see it doesn't change how the event looks on your calendar. So your visibility, people would have to actually see that on their end that you're free or busy, it won't visually change. So what we can do is we're gonna go in here and say, hey, actually this event, something I'm going to be working on and off throughout the day. So you can make it an all-day event. And then you can actually create recurring events with some of the suggested options they give you. So we're going to make this on Monday to Friday, so each day thing. I'm going to color coordinate it, and then I'm going to add a description. So that way people can actually click and see what this event is all about. And then since this is something that I'm working on with someone else, I can go ahead and invite them to this event. That way it'll be on their calendar as well. So all I have to do here is look through my contacts list that pops up here and then see what permissions I want to give them. So I can let them modify, which means they can add others, and then they can see the guest list. And then what Google can do on my behalf is send them an invitation for this event. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, yes, please. I want them to be aware of this event because it's gonna take all day. And you'll see now it's changed. All day events will be like color flags across the day instead of showing huge chunks of time like it does here for Tigers at the Royals. So it'll stay across the top even if you scroll through different times. And then you'll see on your calendar, since it's an all-day event, it'll show up as a color flag on your calendar instead of an event with a dot color that has a definite time. And now if you click on the event, you can change your attendance status or delete the event. From here, you can do all of that from the edit page as well. But since you invited someone to this event and they have it on their calendar, it'll send them a cancellation notice if they need to be aware that the event's been canceled. So I'm going to go ahead and send that little message to them, and then now you'll see it's gone from my calendar. Okay, so for this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to move an event from one date to another without editing your event details. So I'm going to go ahead and create a task because it's a little less brain work. And I'm going to call it collect recycle. And I'm going to leave it as an all-day event. And go ahead and put in a little basic description. Now, to be honest, I don't know the difference between a task and a reminder. Maybe you do. But I feel like I should be reminded of tasks, so maybe I'll just put it in that way. And it might also be the to-do list factor for it. So I put this in on the 21st, but actually it needs to be on the 17th. So I'm going to click, hold, and drag and place it on the day of the week that I need. Now I'm in the month view, so that makes it a little bit easier to kind of move it. But then I'm like, oh, actually maybe I need to do this on the 7th, so I can move it from that 17th to the 7th and put it where I need it. Now I'm going to create another task here, but not make it all day. I'm going to give it a time frame. There we go. So I need to get this done by 3:30. And you'll see instead of a flag, it gives me the color dot. And so if I needed to move that one, I can still move it just the same and put it on the day of the week that I need. And that's how you do that. Okay, our last task in our calendar for Gmail Tour is creating a new calendar. So I am in the settings under the add calendar section and then create new calendar. You'll also see that there's subscribe to calendar and browse calendars of interest. Those can be other ones that you can add that'll show up in the other calendars section. So I've created this new calendar called Child Care Calendar. I haven't put any description in it, but I can configure the settings just like I can with any other calendar that I have here. And all I had to do was just choose add calendar, type it in, and save it. So I can modify event notifications, I can change the auto script invitations, I can change access for the permissions, I can share this calendar with specific people, so people that need to be in the loop of what's happening in this calendar. Then I can also integrate the calendar if I need to share it somewhere else or have it show up on a website, and then I can remove it. So those are my options. Now when we go back to our main screen here, you'll see under my calendars that the new calendar is there with its designated color. So I can go ahead and modify it if I need to do any of that, same as all the other calendars. And then I can even start creating events. Now here's where Brittany is such a bonehead. I'm adding in this event. I'm going to make it a hour-long event. I'm going to make it recurring, but I want to choose custom days of the week for it since it's not already in the default options. So I can choose when it repeats and then when it ends if I want to do that. And then I'm going to save it. Now, you're all really, really smart, and you probably noticed what I did wrong. And you see the purple dot means that it's on my calendar and not the child care calendar. So I need to edit the event details. And then underneath birthdays is the child care calendar. It's that easy. Simple fix. No need to freak out. And there you have it. So we created that calendar and we're good to go. All right. We're wrapping it up. The next 2 videos in our Gmail series will be the email apps for Gmail, and then we will look at Gmail contacts. So tune in with me. See you next time. And we want to thank you for watching. Follow us to find more videos just like this. Our page on Facebook is MCPL 360. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you miss us on Facebook, you'll still find these same videos on our YouTube channel at MCPL Mo. Find our consumer technology playlist. Have a good day.